Most actors think tension means emotion. I did too, subconsciously at least. I thought if I tried harder, pushed harder, concentrated harder, then the performance would become more truthful. I associated acting with effort. I thought acting was doing, but over time I started realizing something strange. The harder I tried to force emotion, the less present I became. My body would tighten, my breath would shorten, my lower back would brace, my shoulders would lock, and instead of emotion moving through me like it's supposed to, it felt like my body was trying to protect itself from emotion. That realization completely changed my understanding of acting. Hi, I'm Brian Zane. I'm a classically trained actor and acting teacher, and over the last several years I've been on a journey trying to understand two things: how to become a more truthful actor and how to regulate my nervous system. Eventually, I realized those two journeys were actually the same journey. Welcome to the actor's nervous system. A lot of actors unconsciously associate tension with seriousness. We think if we are doing, then we must be acting. But very often, what's actually happening is that the nervous system is entering a fight-or-flight response. The body braces, the breath becomes controlled, impulses get monitored, emotion gets anticipated instead of lived. And ironically, the more we try to manufacture emotion, the more we block it. As actors, our job is not to force life. Our job is to become vessels through which life can move. They're called emotions for a reason, and that requires a very different internal state. Back in early 2020, right before the world shut down, I took a workshop in Chicago in something called the Demidov acting technique. An actress I had worked with previously had been raving about it, and honestly, I didn't fully understand what it was, but something about it intrigued me immediately. The technique was created by Nikolai Demidov, one of Stanislavski's closest collaborators. Demidov was not only a theater artist, but also a doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, yoga practitioner, and someone deeply interested in the hidden and subconscious dimensions of human experience, also known as esoteric traditions. And unlike many acting systems that focus on controlling or constructing performance, Demidov became interested in what happens when the actor stops interfering. One of the first things I noticed in that workshop was what Demidov called a culture of calm. Not relaxation in the lazy sense, not collapse, not deadness, calm. A calm that allowed impulses, thoughts, emotions, and sensations to arise without immediately controlling or suppressing them. We practice learning lines calmly. Think about it. Most acting classes, you don't learn lines, but how you learn lines is important. If you do it in a calm way, your body will remember that. And if you do it in a way filled with anxiety, your body will also remember that. We practiced a technique called losing the body, which helped release unnecessary muscular tension and over-control. And slowly I started feeling something I'd never felt in acting classes before: freedom. For years, I had been taught that acting was action, and that I always had to be trying to do something to my scene partner. And of course, action matters, but that's for the playwright to worry about, not the actor. When an actor dissects their script and decides which actions to play, those actions tend to move into the body as force. As I was trying to force action, everything in me was pushing. Pushing emotion, pushing intention, pushing results, and all that pushing was creating tension inside my body. Demidov introduced me to another possibility: that acting could emerge not only from direct active energy, but also from receptivity. Sometimes the work requires a more masculine energy, direct impulse, decisive movement, immediate action, green lighting our first impulse. But sometimes the work asks for a more feminine energy, the ability to surrender, to receive, to allow yourself to be affected, to let experience move through you without controlling it. That second mode was much harder for me, because surrender can feel frightening, especially for actors, especially for sensitive people, especially for nervous systems that are used to monitoring, protecting, controlling, or bracing. But when I began allowing myself to enter that receptive state, something changed. The work stopped feeling like performance. Sometimes it felt like something was happening to me, or through the character. And honestly, at times the experience felt almost mystical. Not mystical in a fake or performative sense, but in the sense that certain thoughts, emotions, impulses, and transformations seem to emerge from somewhere deeper than my conscious planning mind. I stopped trying to indicate emotion, and instead I began trying to cultivate conditions where emotion could arise naturally. Years later, I would continue studying Demidov more deeply with Andrei Malayev-Babel, one of the leading contemporary teachers and translators of the work. And during that period, I began realizing something important. Many forms of actor training were actually training the nervous system. In voice class, we worked with tremoring to release chronic muscular holding. In movement, we worked to release tension patterns in the feet, the spine, and breath. In acting, we cultivated calm, responsiveness, spontaneity, and receptivity. Different methods, same underlying target, the actor's nervous system. Because when the nervous system feels unsafe, the actor begins protecting themselves from experience, and protection kills spontaneity. Protection kills responsiveness. Protection kills life. Over time, I also began noticing how much of my own physical tension and even chronic pain seemed connected to bracing against internal experience. My body was constantly trying to protect itself from uncertainty, intensity, vulnerability, and heightened emotion. And acting was exposing that, not causing it, exposing it, which eventually led me toward meditation, somatic practices, breath work, nervous system regulation, and a deeper understanding of how the body and psyche interact. And that's really what this podcast is about. Not just acting technique, but the relationship between acting, the body, the subconscious, emotion, imagination, and the nervous system. Because truthful acting is not just intellectual, it is physiological, energetic, psychological, and sometimes even spiritual. Before we finish today, I want to leave you with a very simple exercise. Nothing performative, nothing complicated, just a way to begin cultivating a little more calm and receptivity in the body. Sit comfortably. Let your attention drop into your feet. Don't try to change anything. Just notice. Notice your breath. Notice where you may be gripping unnecessarily. Your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach, your lower back. Now, instead of trying to relax, simply allow those places to soften just ever so slightly. Not forcing softness, allowing it. Notice whether your breath changes naturally, and then simply sit for a moment without trying to produce emotion, performance, or results. Just practice existing without immediately controlling yourself. That's enough. You are enough. Thank you for listening to The Actor's Nervous System. In future episodes, we'll explore Demidov more deeply, somatic work, vagal tone, bracing, spontaneity, self-consciousness, voice work, neurodivergence in acting, and practical ways actors can cultivate more freedom and responsiveness in their process. If this resonated with you, feel free to subscribe, leave a review, or share the podcast with another actor, teacher, or theater artist. And until next time, try less, listen more, and allow life to move through you.